Hi there, I'm Angela. Welcome to Just Me and My Fabric, or welcome back. If this is your first time here, I'm so happy that you stopped in. And if you've been hanging out with me for a little while now, thanks so much for coming back. Today I'm going to do something just a little bit different. I'm going to do the 5 questions, 1 take video that a lot of the sewing YouTubers have done. If you're not familiar with this, it's a hashtag, like video challenge, if you will, that was going around a little while back. And it seems like it was kind of in vogue maybe 4 or 5 months ago, like just before I started my channel. So I know I'm a little bit late with this, but I hope it's okay. And to give you guys a little bit of the background, what it is, it's a series of 5 questions that the sewing YouTubers are answering in their video, where it's the same 5 questions for everyone, and to help you get to know a little bit about that YouTuber. And the challenge part, though, is that you have to answer all 5 questions in 1 take. No edits, no cuts. So for me, that's going to be the tough part. So I'm going to do my best, and here we go. I do have the questions written down on my little note card here, so that's all I have as like a prop, if you will. So the first question is, what has your sewing journey looked like? So I learned how to sew in my early to mid-20s, and I am self-taught by and large. My grandmother was a professional seamstress, but she passed away when I was 16 or 17, and I never really learned how to sew from her, just because as a child I really wasn't that interested in it, and I really didn't become interested in it till I was in my 20s and out on my own, and I wanted to make some decor for my apartment. And quickly realizing how expensive curtains, draperies, throw pillows, and everything are, I took it upon myself to learn how to sew. And my mom had taught me the very, very basics of sewing when I was younger, but because I had no interest in it, I didn't really grasp onto it. And she was not that much into sewing. It was something she would do when she had to, like to do mending or something like that. So pretty much I just started slowly with something very, very small and easy, like a pillow cover, and mastered that. And I think my first actual garment was an apron. So very, very simple garments and items, and kind of built on my skills from there. It helped that I worked in fabric shops off and on during my 20s as like a second job or a part-time job, and I learned a lot just from being in that environment and from my coworkers and from our customers, so that I think accelerated my sewing skills just a little bit. Oh yeah, and one more thing. So I started out with home decor. This might be a little choppy, sorry about that. So I did start out with home decor and then advanced into garments. And then much later, I started getting into quilt making. That was around 2010, give or take. And so I still do make quilts, but in the past couple of years, I've kind of switched my focus back to garments, like very, very heavily, and kind of just running with that. The second question is describe your sewing space. So I'm sitting in it right here. It's the spare bedroom in our house, and I'm lucky enough to have a dedicated space to be my sewing room / office. For many years, long before the pandemic, I've worked from home, at least off and on, or like 1 day a week or 2 days a week I would work from home. And then with the pandemic, that switched to almost full-time remote work. So I was very thankful to have this space to act as my office / sewing room. It's pretty large. I'm lucky that it's big enough for my big sewing table right back there. That's something that my husband and I put together a couple of years ago, and it's pretty large. It's 4 foot by 6 foot, so it takes up almost the whole bulk of the room. And then I have some items like furniture and whatnot around the perimeter. You can see like my bookcases are there. And then over here, this is an old cabinet that I have where I do keep some fabric. I hope to do a sewing room tour soon. I try to keep my sewing room pretty tidy because that's the only way I can keep my head on straight. I can't really function very well in a mess or chaos. So I do keep it pretty tidy. And even though I may have like many projects going on at one time, I still try to find a way to keep it orderly and keep everything separated so it's a little easier to manage. The third question is, what is it like to be a sewing YouTuber? So I'm still pretty new at the YouTube sewing thing, and I have enjoyed it immensely. I've gotten the chance to meet a lot of great people out there, and I love the interaction that I have with you guys and everyone who's watching my videos. It's such a good community. So for me, it's been a great experience. Number 4, describe your most memorable project. And I think hands down that would have to be my wedding gown. My husband and I got married in 2005, and I made my wedding gown. So I actually designed it partially. So I'll tell you a little bit more what I mean by that. So when we were engaged, or right about the time we became engaged, I sketched out what I wanted my dress to look like. And I thought that's a starting point. And I am definitely not a pattern creator or pattern drafter or anything like that. I can do some very, very basic drafting, nothing like a wedding gown. So once I had it down on paper, what I wanted my gown to look like, I searched out to see if there were any existing patterns that were similar to that. And I actually did find 2 patterns. One was a McCall's, and I forget what the other one was. So what I ended up doing was finding a pattern that matched like what I wanted the bodice to look like, and a different pattern for what I wanted the skirt portion to look like, and then kind of Frankensteined those together. And on top of that, I did make some other design changes. So I'll do a video at some point showing you my gown and kind of describing the process that I went through. So that was definitely my most memorable sewing project. And altogether, I was kind of like loosely tracking the time that I spent on it just to see how long it would end up taking me. And it was right around 110 hours I had into it. I did a lot of hand beading and hand applying sequins to the beads. So it was pretty labor intensive. And I was really, really happy with the outcome, thankfully. The last question is, what is one quote or saying or piece of advice you've gotten that resonates with your sewing / YouTube success? So I'm going to go with sewing success because I don't really consider my YouTube channel to be like a success so far. It's just so small. Although I hope to build it up better and bigger and meet more of you guys. So I'm going to focus on sewing success. I'd have to say that the one quote that has stuck with me all these years that kind of keeps me going when things aren't going as well as I had hoped, or I'm having issues with some part of a project, it's done is better than good. So we used to say that at the fabric store where I worked, where we would often be given the chance to make garments or craft items or home decor items for the store that would get hung or displayed in the store, and the store would pay for all of the supplies. We would just be given like a certain time period to make that item, and then it would have to be on display in the store for a certain period of time, and then after that we could keep the item. So I feel like it was a pretty good deal for anyone who loves to sew anyway. And I think we might have been given, it was so long ago I don't remember exactly, but I think it was maybe around 2 weeks to make the item, and then it had to hang in the store for, it was like 2 to 3 months. So you had to wait a little bit in order to get your item back and keep it, but I felt it was pretty worth it. But because we only got 2 weeks to make the thing, all of us kind of got in the habit of saying done is better than good when you're under like that timeline to get something finished quickly. So we said that quite a bit. So that's it. I hope that you found this entertaining or interesting. And let me know if you like this in the comments, or if you have any further questions. I'll be very happy to answer them. And I know this is kind of a quick one, but I thought it would be fun to do this. So until next time, thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.